So just laying out the fabric again with the chair seat. You first want to just sort of just pull it underneath so it's taut. You don't want any buckles underneath that you can't see. And then you just want to pick one side. I usually pick the longest side, and then you just fold it over. Now, since I cut it longer, I don't necessarily want to staple it very far up. You can, but I tend to like to trim it after I staple it. So you start in the center, you pull a little bit, take your staple gun, press down, and staple. Okay, so quite often, depending on the type of wood you use and the length of screws or the length of staples, you're left a little bit high on the staple. You could just take a hammer and tap it in to get it flush. And then after you staple the first one, I like to go on to the opposite side, pull it, not too terribly hard, but just firm enough so it pulls a little bit, compresses, and then I like to plant another staple opposite to the first staple. And I'll just pound that in. Okay? And then working on the same side, I just pull a little bit, staple, and then the opposite side, pull a little bit, staple. And typically you're looking at about an inch to inch and a half apart for each staples. And I'm just going to do that on each side, going back and forth, until I get close, but not exactly to the corner, close to the corner. Okay, so I finished the two larger sides. You'll notice that it's a little bit, creased on this side. That's okay, because if you did it right, it won't be creased on the opposite side. So this side is not seen. We're going to trim most of this off, and when we screw it back on, none of this will be seen. So next we're going to work on stapling the other side. And another note is, you notice that I'm a little bit off on the corners. We're going to be folding the corners specially, and so we don't necessarily want to be right on the corners when we do that. So the next side, I'm just going to bend this fabric back, staple this side, followed by the opposite side, and going back and forth kind of from the center out on both sides, and then I'll finish up with the corners. So I finished up all four sides. Now I want to focus on the corners, but first I'm going to start trimming some of this excess, probably a half an inch to an inch away from the staple line, and I'll be right back.